I was a film makeup artist who discovered I had the same problems I did when I created my own indie feature film. I did not know how to market, I wasn't making any money, and I had no time left for my daughter. Until I actually studied marketing and found out that having an online course was the answer to all these problems. So I want to teach other makeup artists how they can do the same and spend time with their children too. I've teamed up with Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins, who are going to show you that self-education is the new norm. This is Creative Entrepreneur Radio. I'm Miranda Wright. Let's bust through that glass ceiling. Coles need to address the perceived health risks of the frozen berries and build the consumer emotional connection in the trail of the consumer journey and align it with consumer engagement to not lose consumers at the end stage of the consumer journey. Okay, so what I uncovered there was the context was that the frozen berries were the most cost-effective way to consume lots of raspberries and blackberries with a limited food budget. Okay, so what was the customer trying to do? And what are the motivations, goals, when, why, how, where it begins? Personal goals and needs of the consumer, me. Motivations are to get the right nutrients on a very limited food budget and diet recommended by a doctor for health reasons. Okay, to see what specials there are to prepare for what the limited food budget should be spent on to make the food last. The journey stages experiences were looking at Coles supermarket catalogue online, at the Coles supermarket frozen food section where not many packets of frozen berries were left in the freezer at the everyday low price of $4. So what were the touch points along the way, critical incidences, interactions with the brand and product? The Coles supermarket brand frozen mixed berries were seen in the catalogue for what is labelled as the everyday low price of $4. Without much thought, the frozen Coles brand mixed berries were collected alone and taken straight to the self-serve checkout to be purchased. The emotional status was happy and enjoyment. A bit of thought came afterwards when I read about the berries online, and then a little bit angry about what people are doing to berries overseas. These are going by images that I put in my consumer journey. I put little strawberries with faces on them to represent what my emotional status was. So I was trying to interpret that. Okay, so my consumer insights, behaviors, outcomes were my perception is that I had a lot to lose by risking making a bad decision in the supermarket, by not being prepared and wanted to prevent that risk by making the purchase decision before entering the supermarket, feeling confident and mission focused. Okay, this is a better interpretation of what my faces were, what the strawberry faces were, I should say. So brand choices are not fixed. I had no emotional magnetic attraction to the Coles brand apart from like and trust, but I would choose any brand's product that was cheaper in that desperate situation. In the supermarket, I had pre-purchase anticipation, regret of the risk of missing out if I did not the only inexpensive berries left in the freezer, called availability misperception. Okay, that means there was not many left in there, and I didn't want to experience FOMO, which means fear of missing out. Okay, I had not felt any or post-purchase buy regret. I just enjoyed the product. I made smoothies out of them. I trusted that the frozen berries hygiene or health risk problems I have seen reported by the media in the past have been dealt with and rectified. Okay, so I was kind of confident that that's what was happening. But after reading about it later on, I am not certain. This is what I wrote in the past. After some reading right now, I'm not certain that frozen berries are completely safe due to the global value chain and plan. That means that the berries changing from hands to hands throughout its journey, where it was grown, how it's handled, then it's shipped to Australia, what's happened to it, not from Coles but from where it's come from. Do you understand? So after some reading right now, I am not certain that frozen berries are completely safe due to the global value chain and plan to not buy any more frozen berries now that I have more money to spend on food, and I pride myself on being an independent decision maker. But regarding health, I do value the opinions of others. Who or what else influenced the drivers of behavior? And influence was the dietary recommendation of the doctors. Okay, so that's a good exercise to go through yourself. If you want to create a bit of a chart and put some headings in there for the consumer journey map, that's how you can find out what your own behavior is like as a consumer, and that can help you get into the mind of a consumer. Okay, so you can find out how their brain works, then you can use that to your benefit with your own marketing and your own product. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so what was uncovered overall is that, yes, humans are complex. The decision-making process is complex. But once you uncover some things, it's not very complex. All right? It sounds complex, but we're actually very simple beings as well as being complex. Okay? You just need to understand and look into things a little bit deeper. All right? To understand it. Okay. So I hope that was helpful. A few hand-selected marketing rock stars around the world have been approved to team up with Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi and Russell Brunson to promote their biggest launch yet. They're about to revolutionize the self-education learning space forever with their upgrade. That's all I'm going to tell you for now. But I was one of those selected marketing people to promote their product. So what does this mean? I want you to get onto a webinar with me so I can share what they are sharing with the world. If you want to be in this webinar, simply comment, Miranda, let me into the webinar. Thank you for joining me. I'm Miranda Wright.